Okay, so the real reason I haven't shown you my TBR closet in years is because there's a lot of books in here that you're not allowed to know about. So I'm gonna pull a bunch of books from in here that are gonna work for this video that I got for specific videos that like I never followed through with. There's ones that might be surprising in here that you never thought that I would ever pick up. Or you've seen them in hauls and I said, these are for something, but I never told you what they were. So I'm just gonna sift through here. There's a couple like 100 books and then we'll talk about what I'm actually gonna read. I don't even fully know how to explain this video concept, but I'm gonna do my best. I actually did a video like a year or two ago that was called Videos That I Canceled. It was super fun to film and talk through, and I think it gave you some good insight into my, I don't want to call it a creative process, but let's call it that when it comes to videos. I actually cancel videos all the time at all different points in the journey of creating said video. So I had enough content to discuss with you for a whole nother episode in that like video series. But I thought what might actually be more fun is to read the books that were intended for those secret TBR videos. Usually when I create a secret TBR, the idea is that I select around 5 books in an obscure way. I don't tell you what I'm doing, and then I post this video and it's weird. If you're new here, I will put some examples down below of past secret TBRs. So for each of my failed videos, I have a stack of books that I was supposed to read for that video, and then for whatever reason I canceled that video concept. So instead of just picking one failed secret TBR and then read all those books, because then that would be completing the secret TBR, I'm going to tell you about 5 failed secret TBRs, pick one book from each video and read that, because clearly my TBR closet is getting out of hand. And a lot of the books that I pick up for secret TBRs are not books that would already be on my TBR. So they're now just random books I wasn't the most interested in, and therefore I don't know in what other capacity I will ever complete reading that book. A lot of times I get rid of said books, which is why one of these stacks only has 1 book. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna introduce you to the video concepts, tell you why they failed, tell you the books I was going to read for it, and then over the next week I will read 5 books from various failed videos and show you some footage of those original videos. The first video concept I already told you about in my first canceled videos video, and it was the idea that I wanted to read all of the Man Booker Prize nominees. In 2018, I was just getting into challenging myself to read a certain selection of books, and I chose different awards, and the Man Booker, now just known as the Booker, was one that really intrigued me. I wanted to read all of the nominees in a short time period so I could make it into one video, because I know people do super great like vlogs throughout the year as they read Man Booker Prize nominees. My idea was, before the winner was announced, I wanted to read them all, put out my opinion, and then find out with you who the winners were. I was obviously not someone who the prize would have like worked with and sent the titles for this reason, so I wanted to pick them up on my own. And if you know anything about that book prize, or if you watched my canceled videos video, you'll know that a lot of the books, since they're international, they aren't actually available to me in Canada until like the following year. Now, I didn't know this until I started filming. I was pretty deep into the filming process when I realized I could not obtain all of the books in the time period that I wanted. So this video changed course a lot of times throughout filming. Originally, I was going to read all the nominees, and then when I found out I couldn't get all of them, I waited a little longer to see if I could just read the short list instead of the long list. So I reached out to a couple publishers. There was a couple books that I couldn't get my hands on. I found Snap, and I found The Mars Room, and I had Washington Black. The one book I couldn't get my hands on was The Long Take. So I emailed the publisher, and they sent me the book. And I still hold a lot of guilt because I never featured it in a video, because it wasn't sent to me until like the following year when they actually had it, and I had already canceled the video. So I have an entire selection that I could read, but I'm gonna pick The Long Take by Robin Robertson because it was so kindly sent to me. The next video concept includes the Book of M, and that's the only one that I have, because this video I canceled before I even started filming anything for it, because I realized I don't know how this would be received. Like many of my videos, I take a lot of inspiration from the fashion, beauty, and lifestyle community, and something you see a lot, or you saw a lot, you know, a year or two ago, was videos where people would pick products that were either offered to them and they didn't accept, or were like sent to other people and they wanted to be like the honest opinion of like, is this sponsored product actually a good product? Which is such an interesting concept and a video that I love watching, because it's interesting to see the commentary on consumerism, consumer behavior, sponsorships, and honesty. So I then took it upon myself to look at books that I had been offered sponsorships for as a book reviewer, content creator, whatever. I personally get like probably 20 to 30 emails a day. I was contacted multiple times by multiple people to be sent this book for review and or a paid video spot. And then when I started filming the video, all these thoughts started coming at me, and then I realized I actually already pick up a ton of books that are offered to me that I don't accept. I was like, this makes sense because I spent my own money on it, so you know I'm not biased, but I feel like there would still be some type of conversation about bias in there. So anyway, I'm reading the Book of M, and this whole conversation can also continue into the next video concept, which was reading books that I was sent unsolicited. So again, like the 20 or 30 emails I get a day, I receive like 20 to 30 unsolicited books from publishers a month. This has definitely lessened a lot over the last year, that I have been a lot more communicative with publishers about what I expect from them, what they can expect from me. So the video idea came from the fact that occasionally I will hold on to these unsolicited books. Clearly, not very many. I have 4 examples here. If you do the math, I think you can figure out that I send hundreds of books to the thrift store, to other reviewers, to the women's shelter, pass them along to friends. I don't tend to hold on to unsolicited books, and I don't feature them, because featuring unsolicited books will just encourage more unsolicited books. And I find it so important that if we're talking about like the big publishers, they need to be putting the time into their marketing team and having someone actually look for people who want to read these books. Because when I'm sent books that are never going to show up on my channel, it's a waste of money when they could have been sent to somebody who would have loved to receive that book. So I take it upon myself to, 1, email the publisher when things are offered and say, no thank you, please pass it along to these people. Sometimes I will respond with, I would prefer to not be the first, you know, push. I would love to read it, but put me on a bottom tier if you have like leftover titles. Again, my concern with putting out this video concept is that I feel like 90% of my audience like won't care about these conversations, and the people who don't understand the reviewing process will just look at me like, you should be more grateful to receive these books, you should promote every book you're sent, you sound so entitled, etc, etc. So that's kind of why I canceled that video. But I do still have a couple books. Sometimes I honestly just forget, like it gets shoved in the closet, and if I make like a monthly trip to drop them off somewhere, I will leave a book behind. Or sometimes I think, even though this was sent to me unsolicited, I have seen a lot of people reviewing it, and I don't feel like I'm taking away from anyone, so I hold on to it in the hopes that someday I'll get to it. So the books that I have sitting in my closet were 7 Days by Patrick Senecal. Simon & Schuster did these really cool marketing packages, like no shade to any publishers who sent these, because like of course it is kind of them to offer books in general, and maybe they don't have the manpower to really look into reviewers, or maybe they thought I would like it, etc. Slay, Permanent Record, Frozen Beauty. So for the last 2 videos I mentioned, I canceled the concept before I actually began filming. The next one that I have an entire 5-book stack. I filmed the entire intro, I bought all of the books, and then I canceled it. And it's pretty much solely because of time, not time constraints, timing. So I had this video idea. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know how I explained it in the video. Due to COVID, I wanted to show my support and appreciation for publishers and authors. It's a weird time to be selling product in general. I wanted to find like a positive thing, and I think that was appreciating the unique marketing that publishers were using. Because book tours were different, because in-person events were canceled, everything is just chaotic. This was such an interesting time, as I work in marketing, to watch how different brands and companies marketed themselves and the unique things that they were doing. I was basically just scrolling through social media every day, waiting until something popped up that I could get a recommendation from. I think I was gonna call it like personalized recommendations was my goal. And then in that video, discuss that I did it because it was a unique time for marketing. I started to question like what I was doing. Would I come across like I was trying to monetize off of a pandemic? I was like, is this even relevant? Is this something even interesting at this point by the time I have time to read the books? So Katrina Leno did a takeover for a publisher, and she DM'd me a personalized recommendation. There was a really cool horror live show book tour interview thing that was super cool with a bunch of authors I love, and I got a recommendation for Rules for Vanishing. And then there was a publisher doing personalized recommendations on Twitter, and I got recommended The Water Cure. There was some other publisher recommendation where I got recommended Something She's Not Telling You, and then I also did something that got me Catherine House as a recommendation. So I think I said like the next person that tweets me a recommendation, I'm gonna take it, and then it was Catherine House. And the last video concept I don't actually want to talk about because then I'll have to show you the footage. So the concept is gonna sound like the kind of idea that you get when you're high. So maybe it was. And it was reading books, reading the favorite books of people who look like me. It's not a good one. And you know why it's not a good one? Because I came up with the concept high. And you know what? I filmed the video on that same day. Basically, I was scrolling through, I think, TikTok. Somebody made this TikTok about this really scary website where you can put a photo of your face and it'll find anyone on the internet who looks like you. And you may be thinking like, yeah, I've done that. I put in my face and it shows me a celebrity. No, it pulls all of the photos on the internet and it's accurate and it's really scary. So I will show you that footage, and I'll show you the people, the booktubers that popped up who look like me. I think it's clear why I canceled that video. 1, it's weird. 2, I had the idea high. 3, I don't want to look back at that footage. I never want to have to edit that video, but I will for you in this context. Also, it's just like a stupid video concept. Like, let's be real. Why would I read like people who look like me? Like, what would I gain from that? Because if I read like other Aries, or I read like certain celebrities, or I read like other booktubers who read like me, there's an intention and there's a hope that I like the books. But just by reading like someone who looks like me, what am I accomplishing? Like, why would we like the same books? What's the commentary of it? So yeah, I could still follow through with that video. I could read Foul is Fair. I could read erotic stories for Punjabi widows. I could read The Girl Who Drank the Moon. But what's the associated discussion? I don't think there is one. So those are 5 video concepts that failed, and now I'm gonna read 5 of the books and talk you through them, show you some footage, talk through the concept a little bit more, and we're just gonna have a good week together. Let's begin. So first up, let's talk about the video where I wanted to read all the Booker Prize nominees. We can look at a little bit of footage, but I don't have much more than I showed you last time. The long list is announced in July, and there are 12 books, and then the short list comes out in September, with the winner being announced in October. Maybe I'm switching my goal from reading the first chapter of all of them and finishing one in this video, posting it this week. Maybe I will just post this now and make the goal to read the shortlist once we discover the shortlist by the time the winner is announced in the middle of October. The Man Booker shortlist gets announced today, and I have tried to get my hands on these books. At this point, I've actually switched my opinion, and I'm hoping that the shortlist is books that haven't come out in North America yet. So I have a chance to get an ARC from the publishers, like a physical one that looks like this. The poet Robin Robertson weaves together verse and prose as he follows D-Day veteran Walker from New York to Los Angeles and San Francisco in search of an accommodation with the violence of war. 3 of these books are out in Canada, 3 of them are not. Oh, so neither of the books that I have are on the list. I'm gonna go ahead and type up an email to the publisher right now and see if I can get myself a coffee. And I think we can talk about 3 things quickly with each of these video concepts. Why I wanted to do it, why I didn't follow through, and what process I was in the filming of it. Why I wanted to do this one is I wanted to first dive into book prizes, which I knew and still don't know a lot about. And I think I wanted to do it because I didn't know, this was like in 2018, what direction my channel was going, if I wanted to be taken more seriously and I wanted to do more discussions and critical reviews and reading, I mean, let's be real, smarter books. And it turns out that's not really where my strengths lie. And if I'm gonna do a challenge video, it's gonna be sillier and goofier. So why I canceled it was just because I could not get the books in the time that I wanted to read the books. And as far as filming, I had months worth of footage where I was planning the video, changing the video, obtaining all the books, but then no reading actually got done. There were some books I was more interested in than others, and at this point I have 4 books still. I have actually read some of the books from the long list, but the ones that I have in my hands are right here. I'm still interested in The Mars Room and The Water Cure. This one will show up in another video concept, which is funny. I think I'm ready to pass on the whole snap, but the long take is, you know, what I need to do. So today is day 1 of the experiment, and I'm gonna read the long take today. Not just because it matches my outfit, but mostly because it matches my outfit. It's also, I think, kind of poetry, or at least it's written in a way that looks quick to get through. So I think it'll be a good pick for day number 1. Oh my god, you know who I look like? I look like the girl on the front of the new Casey McQuiston book. Hold on. How do I not own like a dainty gold chain? Got me, but like tell me I'm wrong. Actually, don't tell me. I can't. I need this. I also need water. I also need new glasses. This prescription is from like 3 years ago, so I have an appointment this week for my eyes. Can't wait. I'll bring you along. If you're new here, I take you everywhere with me, even if it's a themed TBR. Reading this, I'm also going to show you my outfit every day because I go back to the office full-time this week, and I will show up in sweatpants every day unless you hold me accountable. Okay, let me kick things off by saying I was pleasantly surprised by the long take, which like isn't a fun position to be in, assuming that I'm not going to like a book that I asked to be sent. Like, let's acknowledge the fact that a reason for canceling this video was valid because I was reading a lot of books that I wasn't interested in at all and got so desperate to complete the video that I then asked for a book that I wasn't that interested in. So I'm glad that I ended up liking it. However, I gave it 3 stars. It's just not the type of book that I would ever love, I don't think, but I enjoy it a lot more than I kind of assumed going in. I always like to start out my challenge videos or my readathons or anything with the shortest book so I can check something off the list quickly, feel like I'm accomplishing things, get like the momentum going. This was not really that. It's partially poetry, so I thought it would read fast, but a lot of it, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not poetry, it's just like broken up traditional prose. It doesn't read like poetry the majority of the time, and the audiobook, which I checked out for a little bit as well, like does not read like poetry in any way. I did appreciate how it was broken up and how short the passages were, and then there's a lot of photos and imagery in here, which just makes it more enjoyable overall. This book had a lot of interesting things to say. The man we're following is in an unfamiliar America and a modernized America, and he speaks, and the book speaks about gentrification, and a lot of ways that America seems to be going in a negative direction, even with what seems like positive modernizations by the general public. He has a different take on things. There's also a lot of discussions about like race and discrimination, just because I know it's a topic I see discussed a lot in the community. There is slurs involved in here, which, as this is a historical fiction book, you would say is like with the times, but I also know that a lot of people just like to be aware of the type of language that's used. I wasn't particularly interested in the activities that went on in here, but it was interesting hearing the perspective, and I think this author did a great job of referencing like the main character's viewpoint and mindset, had it reflected in like the city around him, so the destruction and the changes going on in the unfamiliar setting, like he felt it and he saw it around him, and it all came together really well. I thought it was interesting, I thought it was good, and I'll probably never think about it again. The next video concept, I really hope it's not confusing how we're doing like current, future, and past footage all intermingled. What I wanted to accomplish from this video was just a fun challenge. I've always wanted personalized recommendations, and I thought it would be cool to look at publishing, and I wanted to dive into some marketing conversations in that video. Hopefully by the time this video actually goes up, a month plus from now, things have settled and are a little more resolved. Right now, while this pandemic is at its peak, and I personally am in self-isolation and working from home, I wanted to find a unique way to appreciate the positives that are coming out of this situation, because there aren't a lot. We could talk about like the broader scope of internet marketing during a pandemic, how frustrating it is to watch brands capitalize and monetize off of a pandemic. There is more opportunity for brands to connect with their audience. Basically, I'm just going to check in with you anytime I see some type of opportunity to connect with an actual person on their social media and get a direct recommendation from a publisher, an author, maybe some of you. I think, okay, the very next recommendation I get, the next time anybody tweets me or Instagram messages me or whatever with a book recommendation, I'm gonna take that, because thank you for taking the time out of your stressful life experience to be thinking of me. All right, I got my first recommendation on Twitter. Blonde Books, Ange, tweeted me, and well, she actually tweeted her review, and then she responded to her own tweet at me and said, "I feel like you might like this. It's queer, diverse, and blurred by Rory Power." There's my first recommendation. I think I've seen this cover before, but every time I scrolled past it, I might have been mistaking it for a different book. I was just in the middle of filming something, and Allie, hardback hoarder, messaged me and said, "I'm hoping Catherine House is on your radar." That's so wild. Like, nobody else has messaged me since that recommendation happened, like recommending me any other book. So like, what's happening? It's just like $35. I mean, it's not even out yet. It comes out May 12th. What if I can get an ARC too? Speaking of HarperCollins, who has yet to approve my ARC request, they just posted this on their Instagram. So it's World Book Day, and they posted, "If you need a recommendation on what to read next, comment below." So I did. So I asked for a domestic thriller, one with high action and plot twists throughout. This book is something I've never heard of before. It's called Something She's Not Telling Us. So Random House on Twitter has been doing these 30-minute sprints of recommendations every day at noon. And they just asked, tell us what you're in the mood for, and we'll send back a personalized recommendation for you. So I tweeted at them and asked for a modern scary island story. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. They replied. Okay, my recommendation is The Water Cure by Sophie McIntosh. Okay, so I just saw that Katrina Leno, one of my favorite authors, is doing an Instagram takeover on the novel. Apparently I missed the AMA that was posted for her to answer a whole bunch of questions, but I sent out a message just in case she would see it, and I said I desperately need some book recommendations with similar vibes to Horrid, which is her upcoming book that I can't fucking wait for, as I anxiously await its release. And she freaking responded with an Agatha Christie book, which isn't super surprising because that's what she's talking about on the Instagram stories right now. She said her favorite is Mrs. McGinty's Death, which I've never heard of, but apparently it's funny and charming.
Oh god, like picking just one. I think like I can tell you that the scariest thing I've read recently, I think, was Kate Marshall's book, Rules for Vanishing, which I
haven't read it. I've got it.
No,
okay.
Oh my god.
But I ended up with these 5 titles, and I am interested in some, not so interested in others, but that's fine. Maybe we'll find a place to read them. Ultimately, why I canceled it is I couldn't fit it into my TBR because it was kind of an on a whim idea. Also, the concept didn't really make a lot of sense once I got all of the recommendations. It's not even a new book, so I wasn't in the end like promoting new titles that didn't get the, you know, book tours and marketing opportunities that they normally would outside of COVID. So the concept just started to make less sense. I do still hope to read The Water Cure because honestly, I didn't even know that it fit those themes that I love. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to reading another Agatha Christie, but ooh, I bought this full price. I never read Darcy Bell's like super popular book. I checked out the movie, didn't love it, so I don't, you know what, I got it 40% off at Walmart, so it's okay. I am actually really excited to read from Kate Alice Marshall, and I actually filmed a ton of footage attending probably 10 different live shows. It was really cool seeing our community come together and do all of these really interesting live shows and like book tours and book festivals online. I attended so many things, and in almost all of them I would put forth a question just once in the video in hopes that somebody would answer it when they did a Q&A portion, asking for a recommendation based on like what they were talking about in the live show. The only time I think I got an answer I hadn't already read was in that horror one, and I still am very interested in this one in general. But it's funny because I'm gonna go with Catherine House because it's my book club pick. I mean, part of me selected this book club pick or encouraged this book club pick because I already had it because of this failed video concept, and I was kind of thinking of making this video concept at the same time, and it all kind of worked together. And this was actually the least with the theme book that was recommended to me, because this is the one I just took from a random, you know, person in the community. But it was funny how after I selected this based on that tweet, I then saw this book in like 3 different people's stories. It was selected for a lot of people when they signed up for my tbr.co when I made a video exploring the book recommendation service. So this was really calling to me. Okay, today, oh, that didn't make any sense. I'm reading Catherine House. This is my outfit. Thought I liked it, but it's so sheer. I think I need a black tank top. I actually don't think that's much better, and I don't know why I don't know how to dress myself. Anyway, I'm reading Catherine House today. We have a couple errands to run today, a couple like pickups, like grocery store and bookstore stuff. So I won't actually be reading Catherine House until later today. But I'll vlog a little bit of what we're doing. We're just gonna like stop at a couple places, maybe get some ice cream on the boardwalk. I posted a picture of this on Instagram, and some people are guessing that because they're guessing my secret TBR. You're guessing my secret TBR? Though I wasn't actually planning on posting many of these books on my Instagram and having you guess. And I've gotten some guesses for dark academia, which is interesting considering some of the books that I'm actually buying today. because I've been up late reading. You might be able to hear Robbie snoring in the other room because he fell asleep on the couch. And you'd think that that means I'm really deep into the book, that like it's so late and I'm still reading and taking over the bed. But no, I'm actually only 80 pages in, but I'm obsessed. Obsessed. So this book is split into 3 different years. Basically, Catherine House is this school of higher learning. It's hard to explain. The book explains it perfectly. And we're following a girl named Inez. And she gets invited to this school, but she doesn't really seem to care that much about anything. And it kind of seems like the school is influencing her mind in some way. There are weird cult-like things going on. You're supposed to be at the school for 3 years and completely cut off from the rest of society. Like, that's the deal. Nothing too dark has happened yet, but it's very ominous overall, and I really enjoy the writing style. I enjoy the main character. I might actually try to listen to the audiobook as I fall asleep because I checked it out and I enjoy the narrator's speaking voice. Also, her name, the narrator of the audiobook, her name's Inez, which is the main character's name, which just feels weird. Anyway, I'll see you in the morning when I'm continuing Catherine House. Good morning, my friends. I am reading Catherine House today, continuing in it. I'm in year 2 now, and it's gotten very interesting, and I'm excited to read all of your updates in the Goodreads group about it. I've also been cleaning, so I look pretty disgusting. My day's just gone completely off the rails. I'm not doing anything I was supposed to do today. So instead of fixing things and getting into a routine and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm actually gonna make some chai. A lot of you have been coming for me recently about my love of Starbucks chai, which is fair, you know? I am not a chai purist. I truly love chai, every form, authentic or otherwise. I don't think I've ever met a chai I didn't like, but I thought today I would cleanse your feed or cleanse your opinion of me by actually making my own chai. I'll put in a little soothing soundtrack and you can watch the magic happen, I guess. Okay, there we go. In my mug that says coffee. Haha. Yum. So I'm going to drink this and read this and hopefully finish it today because I'm pretty hooked. It's got some weird writing that I appreciate, and I'm actually really curious why people hate this book because it's gotten some terrible reviews, even from people who tend to love the books that I love. So far, I can see why people might not like the main character, like her narration style and voice, but I really like that. I like the idea of the school so far and the weird things that are happening. Everything's pretty like top-notch for me, so I'm worried and excited to continue. So I got to year 3 and I need to take a break. This isn't the kind of book that I want to read quickly, so I'm gonna go to bed, get a nice early night. Tomorrow I start waking up at 5:30 in the morning again. I don't know why I'm whispering. Robbie's doing dishes. He's being louder than I am. I truly just like can't tell you anything about Catherine House. It's one of the most perplexing books I've read. Good morning. 6 a.m. Not excited to be awake this early, but excited to get back into a life routine. This is my outfit today. It's a dress with embroidery from Shein and a cardigan from Superstore. First day back at work. I finished Catherine House. I just want to say, if you're part of the Literally Dead book club and you didn't like this book, like, I am sorry, I did you dirty. This is not a thriller. This is not a mystery. This was a very strange choice, and I knew, like, going in and selecting it that it was a weird choice, but I thought it would be like 50% weird, 50% mystery, so at least it kind of fit into the book club. But 100% weird. The most disliked across the board Literally Dead book club pick is my favorite Literally Dead book club pick. 5 stars. It's fine. The live show's gonna be great. I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts. And I was just reading a bunch of reviews for this, and all of the words that people used for, like, reasons they didn't like this, words like plotless, confusing, pointless, the apathetic main character, and just the weirdness overall, like all of those things are why I liked it. I guess my reading tastes seem confusing to some people, but let me show you a stack of 10 books that I think all have that weird thing in common. I gave all of these 4 or 5 stars, and they all have like under a 3.5 or something rating on Goodreads. So universally disliked, pointless, weird, unlikable character-led books are books that I love time and time again. I literally don't know how to talk about this book. It's kind of gothic. It's kind of weird. It's kind of science-y. It's confusing. It seems like a half-written book. It seems unfinished, and I love it. The atmosphere, top-notch. But in the context of this video, I am glad that I ended up picking up a book that was recommended to me, following through with one of the 5 books that I had personalized rec for. I haven't yet figured out the point of this video or what we've learned, but I guess we've learned I shouldn't cancel videos and I should just film them, because clearly my TBR has books that I'm gonna love on it. All right, see you for tomorrow's book. Next up is a video concept where I read unsolicited books. My intention with that video, because I have no footage from it because I didn't actually start filming it, I just started collecting the books and having the idea. I wanted to have a lot of discourse in that video. I wanted to open a conversation up about the idea of unsolicited books and why I think that we as a community need to stop showing them so much in hauls, because it just encourages more unsolicited ARCs arriving and going to the wrong person, especially when it comes to books that do represent marginalized identities. It's so important that these are going first and foremost to the people who can speak on that rep and the people that you should be going for in discussing that rep. And in the video, I wanted to have so many different conversations about how, as a book community member, you can help books get to the right people, the influence that we can have on publishing, and things that I have done, conversations that I've had with publishing that have been really valuable. But the thing with this is there's always the potential of like saying something wrong or not realizing I have a different opinion from a lot of other people, potentially pissing people off, and also coming across as a hypocrite, because certain books that I've hauled or certain maybe unsolicited books that I've shown, you could absolutely be confused by my stances and think that they don't make sense because you may not know the behind the scenes of every single book that I've ever talked about or received. I think there's a lot of misconceptions if you're not a part of the book reviewing community. And then I started to question my entire ability, just as one person, to maybe fix some of these issues from both sides. So some of the books that I was considering reading for this, you know, were sent to me because I have previously read Mary H.K. Choi and didn't love it, but I was definitely down to give myself another chance to love a book from her. 7 Days, I'm actually really interested in reading. But then there's also the conversation that's like, if I end up loving a book that was sent to me unsolicited, like, am I then still encouraging publishers to send unsolicited books? These ones I definitely feel less bad about holding on to because they're final copies. And I feel like, okay, so maybe I haven't taken away an opportunity for someone else more interested in the books to read it early. With Slay, this is actually one that I just forgot about, or I received so recently that I haven't gathered up a bunch of books and done a donation. But this one, I have seen a lot of my friends really enjoy it, so I'm gonna give it a read and then I'll pass it along to someone else. There's also this feeling of like, if the book has now already come out and I had an arc, is it insulting to now offer it to another reviewer? Because like, they could just get a final copy, or I could buy them a final copy. If I'm gonna spend, you know, the $14 that it costs to ship books, shipping books is so expensive from Canada, or maybe everywhere, I don't know. But I hoped to have a lot of these conversations a lot more in depth in like a whole hour-long video. But I really questioned myself on my entire intent. Good morning, I'm a little bit late. This is my outfit today. You can barely see it. It's a green dress thing. I was trying to figure out what to read next, and Chanel just posted a picture of Slay. So I figured I would also take a picture of Slay. How do you like my Gucci knockoff sweater? So, talking about the reading challenge in a second. Talking about real life first. I knew that being back in the office would kick my ass. After 6 months of working from home, I just knew that it was going to be really mentally exhausting. I guess I didn't realize how tired I would be, because like it's 10 p.m. and I need to go to sleep. I still haven't fixed my sleep schedule. And also I spent an hour with people poking me in the eye basically today. I got a new prescription. Apparently it's really different than my old one. Apparently it's illegal for me to drive with my glasses on. That's how off my prescription is. Don't worry, my contacts are a more recent prescription than my glasses. Anyway, Liam and I went to our eye appointments at a new eye place. It was really nice. Actually that's good to talk about with, you know, she's got glasses too. This is about a girl named Kiera, and she's a programmer, which is really cool. Well, I don't know how much I knew about this book going in. I knew it was about like some type of virtual world like Ready Player One and Warcross, because this gets recommended in tandem a lot. But I didn't realize that she is like the creator of the game, which now I should have realized thinking back to discourse about this book that I saw on Twitter. I remember there being some criticism of reviews that talked about the realisticness of this book and how like a 17-year-old couldn't program a game such as this. And I do believe there were like racist undertones or overtones to that conversation, because it was implied that a black teen maybe wouldn't have the ability. I'm liking it so far. It's interesting because like Ready Player One and Warcross are books that I gave 4 stars respectively and I enjoyed. But regardless of that fact, I still do not seek out video game plots. I only actually picked up Warcross because it was in like a secret TBR video where I didn't even choose my own TBR, and then I ended up really liking it. And now it's happening again. So if I end up really enjoying this, I think I need to readjust my thoughts on my opinion about reading about video games. I also really liked When Dimple Met Rishi. Like, that's one of my favorite books, and that has to do with coding. I learned to code, basic coding. I was like 13 years old when I started coding. Between MySpace and Nexopia and Angel Fire, like, I was making myself stuff. I was making stuff for other people. That's nothing compared to like programming a video game, especially like virtual reality, which this has to do with. But I also think that teens in general get really underestimated. Like, if I told people I was coding when I was 13, like they would have laughed at me. So it's interesting so far. And Kiera goes to like a mostly white high school, and the book kicks off with like someone, one of her white friends coming to her asking if she can wear dreadlocks or if that's like cultural appropriation. And she doesn't want to be like the token black girl that everybody comes to with their questions about blackness. Good morning. I'm not sure why I feel the need to check in every morning, even when I haven't read anything, but it's just like routine. I'm putting on high-waisted jeans today. Don't ask me why this is what I decided to do. What I needed to do is jeans, and they're skinny jeans and they hurt me. You know what I took for granted these last 6 months is filming with good lighting, but now I'm only filming at 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. apparently, and it all just looks so ugly. I'm gonna bring Slay with me to work, and maybe I can read a little bit on my lunch. I've never worn these before, so let's see what they look like. Oh, my pockets. Well, I don't love it. Sad for me. Maybe I need a different top.
Whoa, look who looks beautiful today.
What? You think this looks nice?
You look fancy.
I'm just taking a picture for Instagram today. I wish I had thought that like I would barely have any light by the time I got home from work and had like pre-scheduled some photos and videos this weekend, but I was just living in my own little world. So we're snapping a picture of this today. Gonna post it as like I guess a hint of my secret TBR. The books don't have anything obviously tied together, so this isn't gonna help anyway. My reading update is I'm almost done Slay, and I think it's a really great book. So I officially am done saying I don't like video game books. Also, in regards to me like coding when I was 14 or whatever, like that was also over 15 years ago. Like we didn't even have classes in school about this type of thing. Like if when I was that age I was actually taught coding, it would be a totally different story. If I had hours and hours to dedicate to it, it'd be a different story. If I was that passionate about it, like of course she could code a game. And it's not even that crazy. Like she's 17. That's 1 year out of like starting university. There have been some surprising things happening, really good conversations. There's some storylines that I'm not sure where they're going. Also, I have a little book haul because why not? So I got When No One Is Watching today. I'm not reading this until 2021, but I'm excited about it. I picked up a final copy of Alatsue, which I read an arc of and then passed along, and this hard copy is so pretty. And then I have If I Had Two Wings by Randall Keenan. This is short stories, and it was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and it's pretty short. I don't know when I'm gonna fit this in. Probably not for months, but I own it. And then Lakewood. This is one of my most anticipated horrors of the year. It's by Megan Giddings. And that's all I'm up to today. I don't want to talk too much about not the concept of this video and my actual reading, because I feel like this video is gonna be really long. Am I right? Okay, I finished Slay. Does anybody's nose always run when they brush their teeth? Let me know if there's something wrong with my sinuses. I really liked Slay. I'm giving it 4 stars. I think it was a really good balance of like in-game description and then real life stuff. I think all the topics it covered were amazing. I think everybody who was in Kira's life in the book was important to the story. There was no wasted characters, there was no wasted time. The pace was amazing. It's always awesome to read about just like a badass teenage girl and like challenging the expectations placed on her. I know the topic of like the realisticness is things that people put in their reviews, and I'm sure it's worth mentioning because like I've mentioned before in books where there are YouTubers as the main characters, I have been really aware of everything that they say and how like accurate it is. So if you are a game developer, I understand if you want to think about like how realistic it is for her to, you know, have the server and have enough money and have the time to like handle 1 million people playing this game. However, I don't think it's fair to criticize that element if you're not also criticizing every other book. Read white main characters, male main characters, because hypocrisy. Everyone reviews books totally differently, and I have to understand that, but having to suspend disbelief while reading a book if it doesn't actually affect like the intent and the storyline of the book, I would never like rate a book lowly for suspending disbelief. Next up, the video concept is the one where I read books that were offered to me and I declined. I think the intent with this one immediately got lost because it's just not, there's not the same opportunity as there is with the beauty and lifestyle vlogging community, where you can speak on the actual merits of a product. Like, obviously with any product in the world, every opinion is going to be subjective, but especially when it comes to books, if I was offered a book and then didn't end up liking it, that doesn't mean that the book is bad or shouldn't have been a book or shouldn't have been sponsored. It is interesting to see the things that people get paid to promote and if they're actually worth the audience's money. When it comes to books, it just doesn't work. And that's why I canceled this video before I even started filming it, because it would have, no matter how I pitched it, would have come across like me critiquing other booktubers. Back in like 2018 when I had this video idea, there were some other books that came to mind, like The Devouring Grey, which was offered to me and I declined, and then I regretted it because a lot of people seemed to really like it. And then I actually ended up reading it. Another one was something about lies, because we all know I love the word lies in book titles. The Book of M was definitely one that stuck out to me because I got multiple emails to receive and talk about this title. That video concept was definitely more intriguing than the one that was book sent unsolicited, because I would have gone into my email and found 5 books that I was actually interested in. Like, there was something about the Book of M that intrigued me. There was something about The Devouring Grey that intrigued me, but not enough that I wanted to make it a sponsored post or that I wanted to fit it into my overloaded TBR for the month. I'm offered a ton of books that I don't accept and I just purchase on my own later, which is a conversation I wanted to have in the video. But then there's also the fear of coming across obnoxious. Like, oh, I'm now reading all of these books that I could have been paid for, but like, don't worry, I'm completely unbiased now. But we're gonna read the Book of M because I have it. And it actually sounds intriguing. I think we've got road trip vibes, which I talked about in a video recently about how I do like road trips when it comes to like fantasy stuff. I also love post-apocalyptic stuff. So this one seems like a good fit, and I've had it for a long time. It's the last day of my work week. Here's what I'm wearing. Here's what I'm reading. I don't know if I should bother taking it to work with me because I never really end up reading during my lunch, but maybe I'll pop it in my bag anyway, just in case. So I read a little bit at work. I read a little bit when I got home, and now it's later in the evening. And I am almost 100 pages in, and I'm actually going to start again from the beginning. I don't know if it's the book or it's me. It's probably me, but I'm very distracted, I guess, and I'm really not following along. Like, I don't really understand who our main characters are. There's some new people introduced, and I really can't figure out the timeline of events. If this is linear, it doesn't feel linear, but I need to go back and give it 100% of my focus because I'm obviously just not following. I think the audiobook has a couple different narrators, so maybe I will give that a try. But I will say, in regards to the whole point of this video, I am glad that I didn't accept this as an arc or as a sponsored spot, because I'm struggling through it, and that would just be a weird position to put myself in since I don't have any clips because I never followed through with the actual full-on planning. I'm gonna go back in my emails now and find out why they wanted to send it to me to begin with. Okay, so it looks like this was originally offered to me at the beginning of 2018. I was talking to somebody at a publishing house and we were talking about upcoming thrillers that I wanted to check out, and she said, I have 2 summer books that I'm head over heels in love with that she was additionally offering. First is the Book of M, which is A Little Station 11, A Little California, A Little Exit West, and then All the Beautiful Strangers, which is blah, 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 blah. That's funny because now I remember I accepted All the Beautiful Strangers because I was reaching out saying, hi, I'd like to check out these titles if possible. And then they came back with, that sounds great. also here are some additional titles. So it's kind of like a back and forth with publishers. And the same is true with the unsolicited books that sometimes come, is there's a selection of titles that you are interested in, and then they throw an extra one in there. And I remember at this time I was very intentionally seeking arcs of mysteries and thrillers. I clarify that in my email. So that's why I originally declined Book of M, even though it's sounding like Station 11 is something that appeals to me, because I do like Station 11, but I hadn't seen the show California or read Exit West. With all the other books I was interested in, and it was kind of easy to, I guess, decline that one. But then after that, I was sent 3 different emails asking about Book of M. So this one is just pitching the book, and it says it's a post-apocalyptic story, a dangerous quest for salvation, and then tells me all about the author, which is cool, and the dangerous future world that we're set in. I think I declined like the first email, and then I just ignored the next 2 emails, because a lot of times if you are getting relentlessly emailed by somebody at a publisher, just like for other bookish people who don't know, a lot of times it's not that they're actively like emailing you to bother you, or like they know you're not interested and they just want to push it. There are actually a lot of databases for influencers that you may not have consented to actually be on, and this happens across every industry, but there are companies who will create these databases and then reach out to a lot of different brands, and then within that business model that they have with the database, they also have like automatic email settings. So they'll have it set up so like they send you an email pitch, and then they just, it's as simple as a click of a button that says send a second email, you know, 48 hours later. If not responded, send a follow-up email a week later. And there's certain like word prompts that you can use as a marketing team that says like, have you forgotten about me? Or like just reaching out for the last time. I'm not saying that that's necessarily okay, but actually, I don't know if that'll give you peace of mind or it'll bother you more knowing that. That's why a lot of times I don't feel bad about not responding, unless it's like a direct thing that I know has been sent to me, like a specific opportunity that they want me to participate in. But this one just says like, I wanted to check in on your thoughts of the Book of M. I have you on my list of people covering this book, so could you please linking me to any reviews or whatever. And that's something that happens a lot as well as a book reviewer. So again, if that's happening to you, it's just because you're probably already on this database list, and there's an automatic follow-up that was sent out because they maybe like assumed you were going to say yes before you actually said yes. There's a lot of data entry that goes into working with influencers, so it's just that you probably got put on the wrong list. Anyway, the Book of M did not seem like the most interesting thing, but I did appreciate the emails in the end because it put a book on my radar that I would be interested in at some point. It's just for me to accept an early copy of a book, I have to be super interested in it because I know that there are so many other people that it could go to. And I hate the feeling of having an early copy and not having the ability to read it before the release date. Unfortunately, that still happens, even if I have the best of intentions. But I'm glad I'm reading it now. It's always interesting to read about pandemic stuff in a pandemic and how things are just so different. And obviously it's a totally different situation. The Book of M, I still haven't actually read the full synopsis for, but basically it's a kind of fantastical idea where the pandemic, the epidemic, the situation is the loss of memory. And that's what ends up taking your life, is because you literally forget to eat. You forget that eating is a thing, and then eventually you forget to breathe, I guess. Even though it's totally different than the current pandemic, it's a lot more extreme, it's a lot more dangerous, etc. It's fascinating to see where the focus of the book is, because like, even for example, there was just one paragraph in the book that was like, when the president heard that the pandemic was happening, he told everybody to stay in their house and that people would be coming around door to door with a vaccine. And it's just so different in the real world how reactions to a pandemic truly are. And obviously in writing the book, the author would have no frame of reference. And the book doesn't really take into account like people not believing the pandemic is happening, or people sabotaging other people, or conspiracy theories. Like, it's all about survival. And it's funny how in all of these pandemic books, I haven't read that many and I haven't been going out of my way to pick them up, but the ones that I happen to have read, the power always goes out so early in the pandemic. So it's like people start getting sick, rumors are spread, everybody freaks out and goes to the grocery store and stocks up and gets into huge fights at the grocery store, and then the power goes out and then everything descends into chaos. And again, obviously, like, the real world is so different than any book would be anyway, or how this scenario happened, but it's just funny to look at the chain of events and like what's important to the narrative versus what's kind of happening in the real world. My reading update is that there is no update. I read the first 100 pages for a second time. I tried the audiobook. I am not vibing with this book, but I'm also not vibing with the idea of DNFing a secret TBR book. Have I ever done that before? I don't like that idea, but I don't get it. Like, I cannot get into it. I don't see it. I'm gonna give it 50 more pages. I'm gonna read as I fall asleep. It's pretty early. It's only like 9:30, but now that I have fixed my sleep schedule for work, my body is now very tired at 9:30 at night. This is definitely the most frustrating development of this video. DNFing a book in general is not fun for me. DNFing a book during a challenge is especially not fun for me. DNFing one of the books that I thought I would like the most of all the selections, but like, I can't spend any more time on this book. 3 days I have now been trying to read this and I cannot get into it. And I can't even pinpoint what I don't like about it, which is even more frustrating. Actually, you know, the worst part of this is that this author, who her website says her name and how it's pronounced, and I checked out the audiobook and the audiobook narrator pronounces it wrong. And audiobooks have always been the #1 way that I learn an author's name if I can't figure it out anywhere else, because like the audiobook is always right. At least I thought. But the audiobook pronounced it Pang, which is how I've been saying it, but I think it's Pung. Anyway, this author has another book coming out like next year that sounds really intriguing. And I was gonna keep my eye out for like the cover reveal, and I was really excited to hopefully love this and then have an adult book that I can really hype myself up for next year. Because it always seems like the books that I have on my most anticipated list are usually YA, because they just get the most pre-press from the sites and the people that I apparently follow. And I often don't find out about adult titles that I'm interested in until like they're already released. So I was like, hope I love this, and then I have an author I can keep my eye out for next year. I don't know if it's the writing, I don't know if it's the story, I'm not sure, but I can't spend any more time on this. Even the audiobook like is not holding my attention. I'm just having a hard time feeling invested in the story or convinced of the characters and relationships. We're following two characters mainly, Ori and Max, and they have a relationship and they have rules. Because the forgetting is happening and people like lose their shadow, and there's this gradual process that happens, and to keep each other safe and to like know what's going on, they have certain rules. And then Max does not follow the rules and runs away, and Ori will not give up the pursuit of her and getting her back. So it's their respective stories about how they're going to find each other or find the cure or find out what's really happening or find hope. But then there's some other perspectives and other things happening that I can see how they're valuable and they add more to the narrative and to the world building, but I'm just not really enjoying anything about this. For anyone who loved this or had this on their TBR and you were looking forward to hearing my thoughts, I'm really sorry that I don't have much to give you. And we're just gonna move on to the last book of this video. The last video concept is the one where I read books, the favorite books of people who look like me. I don't want to look at the footage, but we'll look at it together. This is the picture that I'm using. All the similar photos are me. How does it know that that's my face? It's even me like in other people's videos. Oh my god. There's an hour of footage. Oh, do they look like me? Do they look like me? Does she, I don't look like that. Who are you? Does she look like me? No. Oh my god, they all have red hair and big eyes. What? That video hasn't been live for 8 years. They look nothing like me. But like, do they look like me? Would I know if I saw someone who looked like me but wasn't me? Maybe these are all actually me. No. What? Look, it's me with an ASMR channel. I can't. I wonder if I upload a picture with my books, maybe it'll show me other people with books. Okay, picked one with books. See it? Who is she? Who are you? Oh my god. Books and jams. Books. I have a, oh my god.
Hi friends, thanks for stopping by Books and Jams.
She said hi friends. Oh my god.
Books and Jams read along. For the last
She has a
part of 2020, I'm going to be having 2 books every month instead of just one.
She's famous!
So
I did not remember actually filming footage of me watching the videos. Also, I filmed footage of me finding the books. Like, I literally just left the camera on and scrolled through their Goodreads favorite shelf for many minutes. There's a shelf called All Time Faves and there's only 9 books on it. Okay, A Monster Calls, The Girl Who Drank the Moon. I've heard of that. Just Mercy, The War That Saved My Life, The Trials of Morgan Crow. I read that with Liam. Nevermore. Ooh, what's Echo? Sweep, The Story of a Girl and Her Monster. Hum, if you don't know the words. The Sun Does Shine. How I Found Life and Freedom on Death Row? Okay, let's cover the purpose. I don't think there's a purpose to this one. I thought it would be, what did I think it would be? I don't know, funny. Everyone tells me I look like Melissa McCarthy. I get it. So I think I was like, okay, I'll pick Melissa McCarthy just because we all know that I look like her. Anytime I've ever done a celebrity look-alike thing, I've gotten Melissa McCarthy. Well, at least in the last like 5 years. And then I found Books and Jams, who I spent like 10 minutes trying to find out what her name was because I was convinced that it was like BooksandLala, but Books and Jams. What's her name? Jemima. Jamaica. James. I'm scrolling all the way back.
this is my very first video. Welcome to Books and Jams. I am so excited to dive in and just start making videos.
What's your name?
Hello world, Krista here from Books and Jams.
Krista?
Dive in.
Oh my god, does she make jam? Her name's not Jam. She's just really passionate about 2 things. Books and jams. Oh my god, it sounds like I'm making fun of her. I'm not. I'm so stupid. I found Andy Nicole. Huge fall book haul? Did I film this? Andy Nicole. She follows me! Ah! She's participated in Spookathon before. I've watched this video before. She loved Foul is Fair? Oh my god, I've already given Foul is Fair. I have nothing to say. Then I found Panna Sansa. Who are you? I don't speak that language. I can't even see anymore. I found a girl named Panna Sasna, and she is from Poland, and she has a booktube. Wait, what are the odds that she had a booktube channel? And has my I think I had a couple existential crises throughout this, and I found Louise Rind Tut. This girl's famous. Her name is Louise Rind Tut. I found her in front of some shelves. She's the editor-in-chief of what? I Love Manchester? Oh my god, what are your favorite books? Louise, 8,000 followers. Wait, why don't I have a blue check then? Favorite books, what do I do? I'm smart. Okay, Search her name. Oh, I just lost her now. What was her handle? What was her handle? Okay, one time she tweeted a response to somebody named Frosty Butcher. And the tweet says, love that book. And now I get to click on it and see what it was a response to. It's from 3 years ago, so hopefully it's still a tweet. Oh, it's a recipe book called Traditional French Cuisine. Okay, so one of the reasons I canceled this video, I mean every reason, I'm scared. But one of them was like, I was really setting myself up for scrutiny on my own appearance and setting up other people for scrutiny, even though I'm showing you them now, which I still don't know how I should feel. Just because of the cesspool that is the internet, there would have been comments that would have been like, oh, you think you look like her? You're so much uglier. Oh, you think you look like her? She's so much uglier. I could not find Melissa McCarthy's favorite book. I looked through her Instagram. I looked through interviews. I looked everywhere and I could only find books that like she was involved in or her husband was involved in. And then the most time that it took was Louise Rind Tutt, who is a really interesting person who I now follow across the internet, who like writes bookish articles and does really interesting stuff, but has never spoken about her own favorite books. And I tried. I have to stop this video because I literally just signed up, paid a subscription to the Telegraph, and now I'm having to tell them why I want to cancel my subscription. And what do I say? What do I say? I accidentally signed up because I thought this random woman on the internet who looks like me wrote an article for the Telegraph about books, and I wanted to find out her favorite books. But when I clicked on it and went through all the subscription process, put in my credit card information, and then read the article, it wasn't even from her. It was just something she tweeted about on Twitter. But I left with, I had reserved this from the library. Like the next day I woke up and I was like, oh, you were gonna go through with this. So I found The Girl Who Drank the Moon from her channel, or her favorite book list. I found this one from her channel, and then Foul is Fair showed up, which is already on my TBR. So for this, I didn't want to select books I was already kind of interested in. I wanted to go completely outside the box and do the one that I reserved and respect what I was trying to do in that state. So this is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, who, upon receiving this, I realized I do have a Kelly Barnhill, her like short story collection, already on my TBR. So this is an author I've heard of. I recognize this cover, but I know nothing about it. My room's a mess and I'm not wearing a bra. So here's as much as you get to see of my romper. So when I saw this on Krista's TBR, I was excited because I figured it was middle grade. I haven't read a middle grade in a while, but I thought it was gonna be a lot shorter, and I can't explain why. I just for some reason thought this was gonna be like a novella, when in fact it's almost 400 pages. But I'm looking forward to this because then I can know if the anthology I have of hers is worth the read, if I jam with her writing. Krista had a lot of middle grade on her favorite shelf, which is super cool. I don't think our reading taste totally matches up, at least based on the bit of her channel that I saw. I am now subscribed and I will get to know her reading taste even better. But middle grade, we definitely connect on. So I just started this book and it has to do with this girl. It also has to do with a witch, and it has to do with a dragon, which normally is like not something that would ever appeal to me. But in a middle grade scenario, I'm more welcoming of, I don't know what to call it, harder fantasy. Typically when I read magical books or fantasy books, I like it to be fabulism or magical realism, very light, soft fantasy. Reading about full-on like creatures and magic with rules and spells and that type of stuff isn't often my thing. But middle grade, like, it's middle grade. I'm not very deep into this at all. and it's cute and it's silly, and maybe that's the perfect note to end this on. I'm so sorry, I forgot to update while I was actually reading this. I didn't do anything today except sit in front of the computer and edit this video. There was a lot more involved than I thought, but I would like edit for 2 hours and then take an hour off to read, and then edit for 2 hours and then take an hour off. I did listen to a little bit of this on audio, so if you tend to like audiobooks, this would be a good pick for you. It felt very much like a grandmother telling a fairy tale. It was super cute. I haven't even told you anything about this book, I don't think, because I didn't know anything going in. And I'm glad I didn't actually read the synopsis, because there are kind of two stories happening simultaneously. And what was happening in the second story was all really surprising to me, but it does explain it in the synopsis. So this is about a young girl. Well, it's about a whole system. There's basically this town, and they believe there is a witch in the forest, and they have to give up a baby basically every year to this witch, so the witch will leave them alone or whatever. But what's actually happening, and is in the synopsis and like the main point of the story, is the witch basically finds a baby in the forest every year and like doesn't know where this baby came from, and so takes the baby to care for it and like finds it a family. So there's this misunderstanding between the two parties, and we're following the witch and this young girl, one of the babies that was found named Luna, and the witch named her Luna, and she like accidentally fed her the moon and put this magic into Luna that Luna wasn't able to like handle, and so that magic kind of gets locked away until later years. And then there's lots of things happening between townspeople and Luna and the witch. There's a bog monster, there's a dragon. It was funny, it was sad, it was adorable, and I'm giving it 4 stars. Definitely highly recommend. It's a slower paced middle grade, because if you're thinking like witches and monsters and magic, you might think it's like a quest high action story, when it's actually a lot slower and more internalized storyline. I think it had a lot of really good lessons in it, some that you could already figure out just by the way I'm discussing it, like the idea of miscommunication, the idea of lies and secrets and how they mess up relationships, and then a lot of also just interesting self-discovery discussions that I really liked. I feel like I am really critical of fairy tale books now that I read Disfigured, which talked about the treatment of disabled people in fairy tales, and so I was very apprehensive about the character. He has facial scarring and injuries, and I was pleased with how everyone's storylines went. I'm obviously not the word on that type of discussion, so what have we learned? That people who look like you will also have similar book tastes to you. You're welcome. I figured it out. To wrap up this whole video, I want to say thank you to Krista for existing and having a favorite shelf for me to pull from, and inadvertently recommending me a book that I really like. Thank you so much to the publisher, House of Anansi, for sending me the long take, even though it wasn't my favorite, even though I didn't promote this in the time that I was hoping to. Thank you very much to Simon & Schuster Canada for making me aware of this title. They are a publisher I really appreciate, who took my request for less unsolicited books kindly and promptly, and I really appreciate them and all of the books that they've provided me over the years. And thanks to Brittany Morris for writing a great book. Thank you to Angela and Allie for directly recommending me Catherine House. I am going to trust you for all future recommendations you have for me. I can't believe how much I love this, and I'm so excited. Thank you to the publisher for emailing me about this, making me aware of it. I do think this is actually becoming a movie or TV series, and I will watch. Even though I didn't finish the book, I didn't love the book. I guess thank you to my local thrift store for having it on sale for like $2.99 and giving me an excuse to pick up a book. And hey, even if I didn't like any of these, like, it gave me content, so that's all we're looking for. And thank you to all of you for watching. You probably didn't make it to the end. If you did, I appreciate it. Like I said, I've been editing this all day, and I know it is the length of a feature-length film, and I didn't intend for it to be that way, but the way that I had to edit it to make sense in my mind needed 4 different timelines within it, and I'm not going to take on this ambitious of a project ever again. Just kidding. I have so many other video concepts that I've canceled, and I'm sure I will continue this trend on my channel so we can do this all over again sometime next year. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you a lot, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.